went to the hospital. And when I walked in the hospital door, I don't remember anything. It's black for roughly 40 days. And I went into pretty much a coma almost right away. So I was roughly, I'll guess, 195 pounds. And then my bottom weight was 138. Pain I was feeling was my lungs eating themselves, something called necrotizing pneumonia. And they said the only way to save his life is a double lung transplant. And I woke up like...
You were swimming upstream. How was it finding the positivity?
That's kind of how I live my whole life. I can't control the past. Nobody can, right? So it's like, it happened. Why dwell on it? What do I got to do now?
Oh, it's 15-time world champion Demetrious Johnson. You're listening to the MightyCast.
What's going on, guys? This episode of the MightyCast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks, a daily fantasy sports game played directly from your phone. It's very simple. Get on your phone, download PrizePicks from the App Store. When you do that, use my promo code MightyCast. Cool promotion going right now for new users. You play fighters and you get $150 in lineup. And guys, what's coming up soon is NFL, baby. That's right, the NFL is gonna be back very soon. But in the meantime, they have CSGO, League of Legends, and they even have mixed martial arts. And it's pretty simple. It's either more or less. And the cool thing about PrizePicks, it's not always about significant strikes. They even have takedowns, how many strikes by a round, and even knockdowns. Lock it in, boys. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring this episode of the MightyCast. Now, I hope you guys enjoy this chat with a friend of the show, Ben Funky Askren. Enjoy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MightyCast. And we are joined by a gentleman who was on the podcast before. Me and him are entwined with each other because if it wasn't for him being retired under one championship, my black ass probably would never made it over to one championship, and he probably never got the opportunity to come to the UFC. Please help me welcome in the funky one, Ben Askren. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How about yourself?
I'm good. First off, amazing match between you and Belal Muhammad. I'm not gonna lie, I was impressed. I still don't understand freestyle, the real set of real American freestyle, but
Well, I was thinking, I was gonna ask you, who do you want to wrestle?
Nobody, man. I don't want to wrestle nobody because I've never done freestyle in my life. I am busy with other projects, and yeah, I'm not about that life. But you looked amazing. You defended his shot. The hand fighter was great. You taking a shot and pushing him out of the ring, getting the point. He was on the shot clock. He shot. You stuffed it. Man, impressive wrestling match. So congratulations to you, man. After everything you've been through, it was incredible, and I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I was doing the best I could. Obviously, came out of a kind of a really low place, if you will. And you know, the hardest thing to get back has been my cardio. And it's funny because I actually misspoke because I was so tired. I said my lungs hurt. I meant to say my lungs don't hurt. It's my legs. My legs just fall off a cliff at some point. My best guess from my research on ChatGPT is that it's from something called heart deconditioning. If you don't actually use your heart effectively, it gets weaker, right? It's a muscle, and you know, I couldn't use it I couldn't make myself work hard for, I will say somewhere between 6 and 8 months, you know. So it probably, now it's taking a while to get. It's getting better constantly, but it's taking a while.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, given the circumstance you just came back from, which I want to talk about a little bit because I was following your story. With that being said, do you think if you would have waited a lot longer and had more of a training camp, was okay, I'm going to, give myself a year I'm going to train for a year and then I'm going to get paid. Do you think the outcome would have been different?
I mean, before I got sick, which was May 2025, we at AWA have been able to produce some of the best wrestlers in the world. Parker Keckeisen has knocked off 2 world champions. Mitchell Messerschmidt won the Hodge Trophy for the best wrestler in college. Keegan O'Toole has 2 world medals and just beat a world medalist at RAF in St. Louis. And I could go on, right? And on a very regular basis, I competed with all those guys in the room. So I was actually, at age 40, before I got sick, was wrestling at a really, really high level. Wrestling is something I've done forever, something I enjoy and I love. And then we're lucky enough to be able to produce a bunch of really, really elite athletes. So I got to, for, I will say 2017 or 2018. So for the last 8 years, I got to compete against the best guys in the world because they'd always be coming back to our room.
And then, but when you were doing that, you know what that feeling feels like in order to be at that top level conditioning.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you think you could have got there before the wrestling match, or would it just taken a lot longer? It's almost
after the lungs.
yeah.
I the honest answer is I don't know. And no one's ever really done what I've done, where they had this double lung transplant and they've tried to come back to any type of professional or elite level competition. They usually, a lot of them are just trying to stay alive. And so a lot of times when I ask my doctors, I say, hey, I got this issue. They're like, laugh at me. They're like, well, no one's trying to do that. It's like, I got FVC and FEV1, which are my breathing components. My FVC is getting elite again. My FEV1's not that good. And I asked my doctor, hey man, how do I fix this? And they they laugh at me like, well, most people are just worried about staying alive, not, optimizing their breath function.
With all this being said, I remember you said, what happened? Like, I remember you got sick. It was it pneumonia in the lungs? And then all of a sudden you turned into something totally different.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the simplest version possible.
Yeah.
I got a little cut on my elbow, and like it was staph, but sometimes, I don't know if you've ever happened. I'm sure you have. You get a little cut, maybe it gets a little bit infected, but you wash it with soap and you put some antibacterial on there and it goes away. Right.
Yep.
So I had a cut, got infected, cleaned it up, goes away. I didn't really think much of it. And then like a day or two later, my back started hurting. And I thought, hey, this is a muscle spasm. I've had a similar muscle spasm before. And so, I went to the chiropractor, and he actually, a couple times he adjusted me, and it felt better for a little bit. And it kind of dragged on. And so by the time it was the fourth day, I was going to Vegas to go to the Bitcoin conference with my wife. And it was getting worse. My back was hurting, but that was it. So on Wednesday, the following day, my wife convinced me to go to the hospital because she's like, you never complain about anything. And you've been bitching about this for like 5 days now. So we went to the hospital and we tested my vitals. Everything was fine. Like there was, heart rate, blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. Check everything about across the box was fine. And I just said to the doctor, I said, hey man, I think it's a back spasm. I've had it before. It feels very similar. Can I get medicine for that? And he said, yeah. And he wrote me a script. And so I went home. And it only got worse, right? So that night, like I was kind of up all night, wasn't sleeping. And at some point I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was, I didn't fall asleep till the middle of the night somewhere because I was in pain. When I woke up, my wife was like, hey, we're going to the hospital. And I was like, no, I just went yesterday. I want to go to the Bitcoin conference. That's what I want to do,
Yeah.
And obviously since then I've seen video footage of what I looked like, and I was like, oh shit, like I probably should have went to the hospital, but I was feeling like there was nothing wrong with me whatsoever. Like I didn't have any issues. And so I appeased her and I went to the hospital. And when I walked in the hospital door, I don't remember anything.
Really?
Like, it's like I went in the same hospital 2 days in a row. I go in the door and it's black. It's black for roughly 40 days where it's just nothing. And so what had happened was the staph had somehow gotten my bloodstream. From there, it decided to attack my lungs. The pain I was feeling was my lungs eating themselves, something called necrotizing pneumonia. That was the pain I was feeling all those days. And I went into pretty much a coma almost right away. There was some points at which I was, like awake, I guess you'd say, where I was communicating with people, but I don't remember any of it. And then eventually, it's a long story, but I got flown back to Milwaukee after being in 2 hospitals in Las Vegas. We had some really good friends, and I never woke up. And they said the only way to save his life is a double lung transplant. And I got a double lung transplant, and I woke up like, I think it was five days after that. I woke up and I was in a dark hospital room. And I was like, where am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? And that was it.
Did you wake up in those 5 days like, what the fuck happened? Who's there? Come out of the dark. It's fascinating that all happened just from that little cut from staph.
Seriously, right?
And you being on the mats, wrestling all the time, you're going to get cut. I've been telling my boys all the time, like after they get done training, if they have a cut, I'm like, you have to shower. Like you guys don't understand. how
Yes.
dangerous STAP or MRSA, all that stuff can be.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think a lot of people in the world and the mixed martial arts community, the wrestling community, were caught off guard, by this, because you've always been a healthy guy. You never smoked before in your life. And for that to happen from that, everyone is blown away.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And that's one of the things that like, damn, if I was going to get a lung replacement, I should have smoked a little bit, right?
I mean, that's what
I'm joking.
No, no, don't fucking joke. I say it all the time. Like, you see people all the time, they smoke packs of cigarettes. Like my Auntie Chrissy's been smoking cigarettes since she was fucking 13 years old, and she's still smoking a pack a day. And it's like, her lungs don't even there's nothing wrong with them. And it's like, it's just crazy how the most healthiest people, sometimes they get sick off the littlest thing. You drink water, you're training, you're working your body constantly, and then all of a sudden that happens, and then you go through this, this adventure, I would call it, and then you come out and I'm glad that you came out on top and you got to wrestle. So thank you for sharing that story, because I never forget my wife. She talks to your wife all the time, and then that's when I first found out about the whole you getting sick and then going through this, journey. And I'm just like, how the fuck does that even happen to someone who's healthy and trains all the time? And I'm sure you shower all the time. So you're not, your name is funky, but you're not a funky person.
I was on top of the cut. Like, I took care of it and it healed, and I just didn't even think twice. And then when my back started hurting, I didn't relate the two in whatever shape or form. And, some people say, well, maybe if you'd be a little more careful. It's like, who's ever heard of their lungs just eating themselves from the inside? Like, if you would have told me that was a thing, I'd be like, nah, I think you're making that up. Like, that's not a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And how was that cut? Was it like a big cut? Were you bleeding, or was it more
it
like
wasn't a big cut. It was just like a tiny little, you get a little, cut in your elbow. I don't even know if I was wrestling or if I hit something, but obviously, I probably got the staph because I had a cut and then I was wrestling. Yeah.
Wow. And crazy. Okay, well, I'm glad you made it out of that. Now, your recovery, I love how you were keeping us up to date. You talked about your mental side of it. How was it finding the positivity in all of that? Because I'm not gonna lie, I watched a couple of your videos and you said you had no resentment, you didn't want to feel bad for yourself. But for me, knowing the person I am, I'll be mad as fucking hell. I'll be so mad. I would be like, what the fuck, man? Like, I've done everything right. I do this, and then it hits me. That's just because the person that I feel that I am. But for you, you have this positive mindset. And how were you able to find that in all of, I hate to say negative, but you were battling a lot. You were swimming upstream.
Yes. Yeah, I would just say that's kind of how I live my whole life. If you're gonna live any type of meaningful life, you're gonna have ups or downs, adversity, and you're gonna go through some things. And really, if I look at my life, I've had a pretty great life. I've been surrounded by a bunch of amazing people. And the second thing I would say is the messaging I give to my athletes all the time is control what you can control. And I can't control the past. Nobody can, right? So it's like, it happened. Shit, why dwell on it? Okay, what do I got to do now? And so I was significantly cognitively, it was funny. I don't know if cognitively impaired is the correct word, because they did put me through a bunch of mental tests and I passed with flying colors, even like couple weeks after waking up. But this very specific, I can define very specifically, we run a bunch of academies and we do things. And so lots of times it's like, it's a planning process. Hey, what are we doing this weekend, or what's going on then? Or how do we gotta get a new building for this place or new mats? And you're always planning. And for a long time for me, it was like the only thing I could think about was, what do I got to do today? What medicine do I got to take? What am I trying to do as rehab? Like just these really, really simple things. I mean, that was probably a 4 to 6 month thing before like I really got out of the trenches where I was thinking of anything past like, what am I doing right now? And and then especially the early days, and early days, I'll say like September, October, November. So I got home full time in mid-August. I got off my walker right in the beginning of September. And so we'll say September, October, November. It was like I wanted to kind of live life again, but there were so many things I couldn't do. So we set up some mats in my garage so I could coach private lessons. But it was like, if I did a few things on Tuesday, I'd have to have nothing on my schedule on Wednesday.
Oh,
Like
gotcha.
just being active for a few hours would just take so much out of me. The next day is like I'm not doing anything. So I kind of like would set my schedule up so it's like, okay, Monday I'm doing things. Tuesday I'm off. Wednesday, and that was kind of how the schedule was set up.
And how do you feel now? Are you able to do,
Yeah.
I saw you were on Ariel Hawani's show. I know you're still doing stuff
Yep.
with DC. Are you able to be like, okay, boom, I feel like, are you back to a point where you feel normalcy?
Yeah.
Like where you feel like you can do
I would
things every day?
absolutely say normal-ish.
Normal-ish.
The big thing now is my cardio and my strength and my wrestling. Like I want to be as close to where I was as possible. And now there's not a date on it, so now it's just like when it comes, it comes. But as far as mental capacity, doing stuff, I still like if I used to say I would work out twice a day and go work on my disc golf course and go coach practice.
Damn.
I probably couldn't do that right now, right? If I spent 2 or 3 hours out working and I coached a practice, I'd have no energy to train at all.
Yep.
So like it's catching up, it's getting more normal, but there's definitely still, a ways to go.
Well,
So,
it's interesting you mentioned that because my sister-in-law, she has cystic fibrosis and she has done a double lung transplant, and she has to take all these vitamins to keep her, not vitamins, but these medications.
immunosuppressants, which is obviously, when you say like, how good could I get? That's another one. These a lot of these immunosuppressants, they are good to keep me alive, but they are not good for optimizing my athletic performance. In fact, most of them are working against me. I did just cross the 1-year threshold. On July 2nd was my meeting with the doctors, and I got reduced on a bunch of my medicines, which is the further out that you get that they drop you off, because you've proven that you can stay healthy and stay alive, essentially. So I can tell you from July 3rd, when I dosed down, I feel the difference significantly.
Oh, wow.
It's like, yeah, big time. So like before then, it was like this the whole time. It was like this weird form of tired that I've never felt before in my life. It was just like I didn't know how to describe it. I would get like when I worked hard on the bike, for example, I would almost get like sick to my stomach. It was really like a strange feeling.
Yeah, because my
Yeah.
sister-in-law tells me about how she has to take those pills, the medication, and she was like, I constantly feel like I'm just tired. And then she would talk.
Yes.
She would constantly talk, because she has all this fresh breath, but more air in her lungs once she got her new lungs from the double transplant. And so hers is cystic fibrosis. So I'm kind of familiar with that. And does it affect you when you're trying to like put muscle on it? Because you said it affects you, the cardio aspect of it, right?
100%.
What about when it's okay, I'm just gonna work on putting muscle back on my legs, my chest, my back, just get back to like lifting heavy?
So prednisone specifically, that one is a muscle inhibitor. And so, when I went to the hospital, I was on testosterone and I was very big and strong. I was working hard. I lost, so I was roughly, I'll guess 195 pounds. I did weigh myself a lot. And then my bottom weight was 138.
Damn.
So I lost nearly 60 pounds. I think likely a big part of that is the prednisone. Prednisone eats your muscle. So I'm on prednisone for life. I did just get to go. I cut my dose in half, which I think is probably one of the things that helped. But yes, absolutely, getting stronger and putting muscle on is going to be significantly more difficult than it was previously.
What does a prednisone do, if you don't mind me asking? Like, why would you be on that? That's good. That's basically inhibiting you to put on muscle. When the more muscle you have, the better it will help. I'm assuming your lungs. I'm assuming the lungs are muscle.
So you know what? Oh, I just Googled it to make sure I didn't tell you anything stupid. So I knew it was to reduce inflammation. I knew that one. And I know the general theme. If immunosuppressant means to suppress the immune system, and it says it is used to reduce inflammation and suppress an overactive immune system. So there's like, I know I kind of researched it, and I can't tell you exactly, I haven't memorized all yet, but there's like 3 or 4 different drugs, and they do different things for your immune system. So the lungs now are a foreign body within my body. And so if I don't take control of it, they will see it as such, and they will attack the lungs, and that causes the problem. So
got it. Yeah. And one last question, this whole new side of your normal your new routine, when you're taking all this medication, how is that affecting your liver and your kidneys? Because I know
Yeah.
from my buddy, he had high blood pressure. He was going to get on a lot of medication, and then there's a we're going to start monitoring your kidneys. My
Yep.
sister-in-law, she's right now she's doing dialysis because all the
Yep.
medication. So for you, with all this new medication, how is the other organs in your body functioning?
Yeah. No, it's been a battle. It's been a process. But actually, since I told you I got dosed down on July 3rd, everything's been getting easier. But yeah, I get another blood test tomorrow, so I'll get to look at it. But something called creatinine, which is it's one of the markers of kidney function. And like when I got off all those medications, July 3rd, then my next blood test for that was July 13th, and it went way down.
Nice.
So absolutely monitoring all those things. And luckily, I don't have too many bad habits. So besides the medicines they're giving me, I'm doing pretty well.
Good. I'm happy to hear it.
Yes.
Okay, let's switch gears. So let's talk about Real American Freestyle. I feel like this is blowing up. It's got a broadcast deal on Fox Nation. When I'm working at the gym, I see it on TV. I feel that it's made leaps and bounds over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has been around a lot longer. IBJJF, you look at, UFC, BJJ. I feel like Real American Freestyle is doing something that nobody is doing. And what do you credit that to? Do you think that's from like them grabbing the athletes from the UFC and using their brand and leveraging it? Like, why is Real American Freestyle doing so damn well right now?
Yeah, well, I would say, so what I would say is wrestling has been around longer than jiu-jitsu to kind of counter, but to your point, there's been like a professional avenue for jiu-jitsu for significantly longer.
Yes.
There have been people who've tried to do that in wrestling, and it's never worked. I think wrestling, this may be my bias.
No.
But I think wrestling, and freestyle wrestling specifically, is significantly more exciting than watching a jiu-jitsu match. I enjoy jiu-jitsu, but I find many of them to be boring, and I kind of think the rule set kind of puts them, in that box where a lot of people are stalling and not taking huge action. So I think wrestling is a compelling thing if it's packaged correctly, and this is the first time that's being packaged correctly. The people at RAF, I do work for RAF, but I'm not involved in the production side whatsoever. They've done an amazing job. They're ridiculously good at what they do, and they're presenting wrestling in this way that is just fantastic. And we've been able to make compelling matchups, and we're already signing. We have all 6 Olympic champions for 2024 on the roster. We're signing literally the best people in the world. We went to Georgia. We're going to Moscow. We're going to Turkey.
Wow.
Wrestling is a very international sport. There's a lot of, it's not popular in every country, but it's popular in a lot of countries. And so, I think the market was just ripe for it, and we're doing it right, and it's taken off.
Yeah, I would say because you guys got Arman Cejudo, Cejudo, Aljamain Sterling, Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, the Merab versus Henry fight was amazing for him to make that comeback. Henry Cejudo versus Uriah Faber. You had Arman beating up a lot of smaller guys. He just fought Colby Covens. It came up short. But explain to me the rules of why freestyle? Why not collegiate? Why not, first period, everybody standing up, second period, up, flip a coin, up, down, second period. Why not go collegiate? Because in freestyle, I feel like there's a lot of stopping, right? You get taken down.
No,
go
no,
on.
there's not. I don't think, the easy answer to this is post collegiately, nobody wrestles folk style. And from a world perspective, if you do folk style, you're limiting yourself to America only. Right. Folk style is not competed at the world level. So if you want anyone from any other countries, which we're getting, we have a lot of, I don't know what the total number of countries we have signed is, but it's a lot. You're going to limit from getting all of those people. And then I would say lastly, for the MMA fighters who have not wrestled previously, freestyle is it's a lot simpler. And so, understanding how to ride or how to escape, while that is an outstanding skill to have in mixed martial arts, it is much harder to learn. So I think for that reason, it is easy. There's some subjective scoring situations that do make freestyle a little bit confusing or hard. It's like who did the action is kind of what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone who's not really well versed in wrestling, that part can be a little tricky.
Yeah, because when I'm watching it, I sit here and I see somebody gets takedown, they flatten out, and I'm like, break them down, 2-on-1, Jake leg, get some tilt, get some back points, and then they're like, beep. I'm like, what do you, because I came up from collegiate and I guess folk style where it's like, hey, you're on your back, boom, you're trying to posture up, you're trying to break it away, boom, you get my 1 point. Okay, now the action continues. And so for that's what I mean. Like you shoot them down, you do a takedown, it stops, and then they get up. I'm like, what happened to the writing? So what you're saying is that folk style is a lot harder to teach and learn.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy to hear say it, because I feel freestyle is a lot harder.
So
go ahead.
I mean, for the non like real wrestlers. So obviously, we just introduced the crossover title.
Yep.
We haven't made exact regulations on who can and can't compete for that, but the idea is that we have Olympic champions.
Mm-hmm.
The Olympic champions should not be competing with the real wrestlers in the same division. I'm sorry. The Olympic champions should not be competing with the mixed martial artists. Those just aren't fair. They're just not fair matches, you know? And so we have the belt in the regular division, and now we're going to start making these crossover championship belts. We have to should Bo Nickel be in the crossover division? Probably not. The guy's a 3-time NCAA champion. He's really elite,
Yep.
So we're going to have to figure out exact regulations. But for our MMA guys, say we had Frank Yeager and Clay Guida wrestle.
Yep.
If it goes to parterre, which is the, top bottom, lots of times those guys just don't try. They could, they're welcome to, but they don't. And so then it's like, you get 10 to 15 seconds to try, then boom, back on your feet. And so that kind of like keeps the match moving and keeps it going faster. And then, sometimes in let's see, I can't remember if there's any on Saturday, but sometimes it's like a takedown to a leg lace and boom, 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 and the match is over. And that's like the kill shot,
Yep.
That's really exciting, and it keeps it moving. So, I think it's a great choice. I love folk style wrestling also. I hope college never changes anything else. They never changes to anything else, but I think freestyle is great for this.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I wrestled a guy. Yeah, believe it, ladies and gentlemen, I did wrestle. I was at the gym, and this guy, I don't know where he was from, but he did freestyle. And then we were going, and it was open mat jiu-jitsu, and then I'll pull guard, I'll elevate him, take him down, pass his guard, and submit him. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to wrestle you now. Like, your background's wrestling. And I took him down, and then he flattened out, and I was trying to alligator roll him. And I was like, what the fuck I can't do anything. And he's not standing up. I'm like, I can't leg lace you. I can't leg ride you. I can't crap. I'm like, you're just laying on your foot. And I'm like, this is fucking hard. I mean, do I just let you go and get a point? You know what I mean? So it's a very fascinating thing when you're saying that folk style is harder, where I felt like, what do I do with you? It's like a fucking wet board. Do I just look at
but then they let you back up. And if you can take him down again, you take him down again, right? Whereas folk style wrestling is like, you got to keep the man down. Keeping the man down is hard. I mean, that's hard when someone's trying to get up, or even worse. And we see this in mixed martial arts. It's funny. Someone like Sean Strickland's actually figured out the folk style bottom position. He kind of acts like a dummy, but I think he's way sharper than he puts himself out to be. But getting up in folk style wrestling is like one of the hardest tasks in all of combat sports. If there's an elite top person on you and they're just breaking you down and grinding your face in the mat, it sucks.
Yeah. Okay. So then it stops. Let's talk about the shot clock, right? Like I see, even when you're fighting against Belal, right? They beep and they put him on a shot clock. Why is it like just random? Like you're sitting there, you're holding the middle, you're going to center. Like why him and not you? Because I felt like you held the center.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing in freestyle wrestling. Ask the center is the biggest thing. So like in folk style wrestling, which you grew up in, it's more like who's taking the shots.
Yep,
they're gonna call the other guy for stalling. In freestyle wrestling, it's who's holding center, right? So who's controlling the action. They're going to put the other guy on the shot clock. And so the thing in freestyle wrestling is there are no ties. There's a criteria system. We simplified ours to whoever scores the last point. The criteria system of international wrestling is a little more different, and we don't need to get into that. But once you put 1 point on the board, there's always a winner and there's always a loser.
Yep.
So that's kind of what they're looking to do. Is they don't want it can't be 0-0 because that is in fact a tie because no one scored.
Yep.
Once there's 1 point, now there's no one. There's always someone winning and someone losing. If it's 1-1, it's whoever scored the last point. And then
Ah.
someone knows, oh, I got to go to win. Like I can't, and, in the beginning I was really against it, but it's like, if it's 4-4, but you're winning, I can't say, oh, we're tied. No, I'm losing. I
Yep.
got to go get you. Right. I got to get, and I know that. And it's so I got to go push you out of bounds and get a point, or I got to take you down. And so it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of urgency in there.
Yep. You're raising the stakes, because if I'm up 4 and it's, you score, you push me out, you just scored.
Yeah.
Now I'm even though I was ahead, you're ahead because you scored that last point. So it puts me on the back. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of really fun finishes, where, in a folk style situation, or, in some other sports, if it's tied, sometimes like, we're kind of tired. Let's just let it ride. Let's just let it go till low. We kind of like make that agreement of like, we're going to wait this last 10 seconds and then we're going to go to overtime and then we'll resolve it.
Yep. And then
it's like,
then it's like the
one of us is losing.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Yeah. Well, that's why once again, I could have looked this up on Google or Wikipedia of like how freestyle rules work, but I wanted to wait to talk to you because it was like, I want to be able to get it from somebody who's very knowledgeable, who's part of the organization, who's wrestled it.
Yeah.
And it gives me more of an insight of like why you guys structure, or why Real American Freestyle structured that way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. All right. So you're talking about crossover. You have 2 different divisions. So you have one for, the Olympians, the NCAA, and then you have one for the mixed martial artists. So MMA guys, so you'll have a belt for, like, are there divisions? Because go ahead.
Yes, there's weight classes. And then, the crossover was just introduced. That was our first crossover match. Now there have been certain, and this is like where we have to really make parameters. There have been certain guys, Bo Nichols is a good example, wrestled a really good wrestler and he won 6-4 in his only match in RAF, right?
Yep.
Or say a Lance Palmer, who was a wrestler, but then fought, and he hadn't wrestled competitively in, I think, 16 years, right? When he competed in RAF, wrestled a guy who was 5th at the Worlds last year and kind of got his butt kicked by him. So, we got to figure out like, okay, if you're Lance and you're 16 years out of competition, you should probably be able to compete in the crossover division.
Gotcha.
But if you won an NCAA title within the last few years, or you're an active senior level wrestler, you shouldn't. And so, our crossover roster is actually kind of fun. And what's really cool is how many of the mixed martial artists that had a wrestling background, they just love wrestling and they're just so happy to be there and they're excited. So we got Merab, obviously you mentioned him, Clay Guida, and then we have influencers like Muggsy Bulljunk. He's a fun character. He just built a following on Instagram and YouTube from doing this stuff. So, we throw guys like that in. Lance Palmer, Frank Yeager, Henry Cejudo, Aljamain Sterling. He's only had one match. He was a pretty good college wrestler. I was very impressed with his skills. Ben Henderson, Michael Chandler, Chad Mendez. So we've had quite a few, solid guys come over.
And what do you feel is bringing more viewership? Is it the MMA guys, or is it or the Olympians, the NCAA guys, or is it a little bit of both of them? Because, obviously guys from mixed martial arts, they have that UFC, viewership, that fan base, and also the Olympians, the college wrestlers, they're bringing their eyeballs as well. Where do you think the needle gets moved more, to which side?
I think it's a healthy balance. And so, right now we've been a little bit over, in my opinion, overweighted towards influencers, but then again, maybe I'm wrong. It's going really well. Right. So
I've been loving it.
So I would like to get to the point where we have, a couple of those crossover matches, but a lot of them are high level athletes. So like I said, our roster for, just regular freestyle wrestling is really good. We have all 6 Olympians, from Olympic champions from 2024. You look at like our 215-pound division, Kyle Snyder's a world champion. Tezudinov's a world champion. Sedulaev's a world champion. Trent Hindley's a world champion. Yoel Romero, which is a funny one, like, should he be a real wrestler or a crossover? Because this man was a world champion, but was like 25 years ago, like when does he cross the threshold of like, well, he's not really active, Well, so some of these divisions are really, really deep and really good. And, a lot of fun. We had Chimaev wrestle. That was kind of lame because he fireman's carried Dylan Dennis, and Dennis tried to choke him.
Yeah.
And he pinned himself. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, come on.
So why?
I want to see if he can really wrestle. I want to see how good he is.
Well, I always found like when you get, Dylan Dennis, it's like, okay, is he going to take it serious? Does he have a wrestling background? It's almost like when you guys made, well, not you, but when they made that match, I was like, can Dylan Dennis wrestle? Right. And obviously
he did wrestle in high school.
Okay.
But he's not great.
Gotcha.
He's not great though.
Gotcha. Okay. So with all that being said, you have the crossover champions, the crossover division. A guy like Cejudo, who is an Olympic gold medalist, are we going to see him wrestle actual Olympians or is he more in the MMA division?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. This is what we need to define it exactly. He was an Olympic champion, but it was 18 years ago.
Oh.
His last active wrestling competition prior to this was 14 years ago. So he's been on that game for a long time. I will say, and I would say this to Henry, I haven't spoke to him, but man, I had a lung transplant, so I think I got an excuse for getting really tired. But my man got really tired, so he needs to have a good excuse for that because he got so tired. I mean, he was having a hard time staying on his feet in the third period.
Well, Merab is a machine, right? Like,
yeah,
he does not stop, and I think that's one of his greatest assets. Even when he does mixed martial arts, I grappled him. He's extremely strong. I never wrestled him before, but grappling him, like the way he's able to pass guard and the way he's able to squeeze, what weight. Like, I feel Henry's probably the bigger guy. Henry's probably walking around 155, so he's not at like the most. Like, I haven't waiting for a fight in 3 or 4 years. I still walk around 142, so I'm still a small guy. I haven't really let myself go in retirement. So and I think for him, he just he's enjoying life. Right? When you train your whole life, it's like, fuck, I don't have to have abs anymore. I got a wife, I got kids, I'm good.
But you got to get a few sessions in, like if you're going to agree to wrestle, you got to get, it's like, get in there and train a little bit. This guy, he was as elite as it gets. I think, here's my guess. Henry said, I don't need to train. I'm an Olympic champion. I'm going to go put him away. And he did, in fact, almost put him away. He went up 8-0. He needed 2 more points and the match was over. I think he probably thought, hey, I'm going to get on top once because, getting on top of freestyle, if you don't know freestyle, you're not going to turn anyway. To your point, it was really hard. Earlier,
yeah.
But if you know freestyle and they don't know freestyle, like you should just go boom, 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 boom. And Henry turned him maybe 3 times. And just all he needed was 1 more turn and the match was over. So I think he probably thought, hey, I'm going to go get on top 1 time. I'm going to boom, boom, boom. 4 turns, that's 8 points. Match is gonna be over.
Gotcha. So in folk style, it's 15-0. That's where you got to get. You got 50. You got to get 15 points. In freestyle, you just got to get 10 points more.
Yes.
Okay.
So it can happen. It can happen lightning fast. I mean, I can't think of which card it was right now, but there's been takedown to leg lace, and all of a sudden the match is over in 20 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But it has to be 10-point deficit, right? It could be 10, 12.
10-point deficit, correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
12-2, 14-4, whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, the other question I was going to ask is when you have, God, it just came up and it just went past me. We'll come back to it. Okay, where is all the funding coming from? What is this sign? All right, love you, bye. Sorry. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's my son. He's going up. He just turned 13, so he's running the neighborhood. Okay.
I have a 13-year-old. Is that your oldest?
That's my oldest. Yes. Is that your oldest? 13?
That's my oldest.
Oh my God. How's that?
That's
how's that
crazy,
dynamic?
right?
It is. How's that dynamic treating you right now?
She's great, but she is getting to be like that sassy teenager a little bit. But luckily, she's a really good kid. So it's going well so far, so good. Hopefully, she doesn't get any sassier.
Hey, I send all the good vibes for you as a dad, 13 years old. Let me tell you right now, he's getting bigger than me. I tried on his shoes the other day, and I was like, he goes, damn, man, these are tight. I was like, what size you got? He goes, 7.5. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm a fucking 8. So let me make sure you're lying. I try them. I was like, yeah, these are too tight. And Destiny goes, babe, you're not an 8. You're 7.5. I was like, girl, better calm down with that. So, yeah, he's getting it. But what Real My Freestyle, where is
funding? I'm not in charge of the funding.
Gotcha.
I'm not in charge of it.
Gotcha.
That's Chad Bronstein. He's the CEO. I would say he was a prolific businessman. I've been so impressed by what he's been able to do. He's in charge of the fundraising. And so that'd be a question for him.
Yeah. What is the ultimate goal you feel for Real American Freestyle? I mean, the cards, the cards have been amazing. It's like every single week you're having somebody. You had Kobe versus Arman, and prior to that, Arman was wrestling somebody else. You know, I hope to see. I really want to see Aljo McStirling wrestle again. And
he's good. I want to see him wrestle again too.
Yeah, he has a
Aljo. Where you at?
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's big. He's strong. His leg riding is. I'm just like, I don't want nothing to fucking. I grappled him once. Yeah. I was like, I'm so glad that I did not let your black ashy legs wrapped around my body. He's so good. Yeah. But what do you think their goal is?
I would say, you know, ideally, we want to be the predominant wrestling organization in the world. And what that means is obviously we're the best pro one right now. But one of the things that wrestling has that jiu-jitsu doesn't have is we have a world championships every year and the best guys all show up. You try out for your national team. One guy makes it from America. One guy makes it from Russia. One guy makes it from Serbia, wherever, right?
Yep.
So there's usually, you know, not every single country wrestles. So like the big brackets are probably like 50-ish and the small brackets are probably like 35-ish, somewhere in there. And that happens every single year. And it's really important. So we always know who the best is. But obviously that organization has not been outstanding at promoting the events and creating a season or something functional. So we hope, and I think we can do it, that within a handful of years here, the RAF belt is the belt that means the most. Every wrestler that was wrestling, they want that belt. And then, you know, what's cool is on the side is it seems as though there's enough MMA wrestlers or jiu-jitsu wrestlers or whomever else we get for that crossover division that enjoy wrestling, that have popularity. So I think we can keep that going too. So I think we can have the kind of the best of both worlds. We're putting on this really entertaining show, and the belt is the thing that means more than any other belt in the world.
Wow. And when you say that, do you ever think they'll do like a one-day tournament where it's like when you look at back in the day with Pride Critical Countdown, or you know, you're in high school, you do 2-day tournament where it's like, hey, we're gonna have a 16-man bracket. You're gonna have Henry, Aljo, Uriah, Arman.
How much fun would that be?
You know, that'd be fucking sick. Could you? I mean, that would be fire.
So,
I want 5%, by the way, just because I'm throwing this out there and pitching it.
Well, we kind of have something in the works. I don't want to put too much out there. That is, we'll say somewhat similar-ish to that. But on a bigger perspective, if we're going to become the predominant organization in the world, we do need to have a process by which people can work themselves up, right? And, you know, something like a tennis does it. You know, tennis has these really big tournaments. And tennis match is way longer than a wrestling match. Those things take like 2 hours sometimes. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think if we are going to become that organization at some point, we'll obviously do like the UFC type cards, and maybe that'd be like the pro league where you got to earn your way in there. And then on the side, you'll have these tournaments for like the people who are trying to work their way into the league or something, because you do have to have something that does that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just think it would be sick where it's like you said, it's 246. Yeah, 6 minutes of a wrestling match. Yeah. So you could do, you know, 2 matches in a day, 3 matches in a day, depending on how you do it, and it's packaged correctly.
No, the World Championships, what they do is they do all the matches until the finals on day 1, and then they do the finals along with like so the next day. So there's 10 weight classes in freestyle wrestling.
Yep.
They'll do, well, it's actually less. They'll do 4 weight classes. So then the following day they start the next 4, and then they have the 4 finals, kind of like, or medal matches afterwards. But in those bigger brackets, guys can have 5 or 6 matches in a day.
God damn.
Yeah. So, and that's where, like, you know, you said, hey, how good was I at 40 before I got sick? I could compete in a 1-match format, but the format of making weight and then having, you know, 4, 5, 6 matches where you got to get, like, I couldn't have done that. Like, that's where, like, but that's for the young guys, you know, like I can wrestle 1 match really, really hard.
Yeah.
But knocking 4 or 5 of them out in a single day that's just not going to happen.
Okay. All right. 2 more questions. It just came back to me. Then we'll wrap this up and get you out of here. Okay.
Fun.
Oh, I love it. I love, like I said, I love watching it. It's something different. It's something fresh. I love that Real American Freestyle is given the opportunity for athletes who are in mixed martial arts and the wrestlers coming out of college and Olympics
at
home to compete, right? Like, I don't know how much these athletes are making, but if Aljo can make, a good paycheck, just wrestle for 6 minutes, and then he goes back and wait for an opportunity to fight for the belt, that's amazing, right? And the matches are fun to watch too. So my question is,
and the other thing with wrestling that I'll add in when you say good paycheck is, fighting, you can fight 2 or 3 times a year, maybe, right?
Yep.
Wrestling, I mean, the guys who are on the senior level, they're wrestling 4 times in a day sometimes, 4 or 5, right?
Yep.
But very, very, very easily, someone could go back to back to back to back. You look at Arman, he wrestled, I think, May 30th, June 13th, July 11th, July 18th. So, like, you could never keep that fighting schedule,
no.
But you can wrestle 4 times in. So it's like when you think about how much you get paid, but it's like, yeah, but you could do this 8 to 10 times a year. You could never fight 8 to 10 times a year.
No, and there comes a point in time where I feel like I'm seeing Arman wrestle so much where it's like, I don't know if he's ever going to go back to mixed martial arts. I don't know how much money, I don't know how much money he's making. I told Michael, the producer, I was like, I think Arman Sarukian has fucking equity in this motherfucking company. Like, they keep getting, he's wrestling over and over and over again. And it's like, he's probably making good money. He's like, I don't need to do mixed martial arts. Like, I'm getting the opportunity to compete with good guys. And why go back to mixed martial arts? So, but that's one thing I love about Real American Freestyle. Here's a question I have. When I shoot, so let's say we're wrestling, I shoot on you, and then I don't elevate you, you grab my hips, and you throw me over your head. Like, kind of what happened to Arman Sarukian and Kobe. He shot, and there was a kind of little scramble.
This is a nuance that's hard. This one's hard.
How does that work? Because I feel like if you shoot and your butt hits the ground and you throw me over and my legs touch and I'm still like this, he score. I just don't understand that. Can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, and this is the most nuanced thing. It's very challenging. And then the more challenging thing, which you didn't know what the rules were, but they kind of like have made a little bit of a, it's not a specific rule change. It's more the way the rule is interpreted by the referees is a little different this year than it has been in previous years. Previously, the way you thought about it is, if you're the defensive wrestler, so if you shoot on me, I have to stop your action and I have to like take you somewhere else, right? So I stop you and then you could do a hip tip or a crotch lift or a chest wrap. There's many ways varieties of way to do it.
Yep.
This year they've been rewarding the offensive guy significantly more. There was another match on there, Braunagel versus Downey, which had this same situation where, it's like I kind of felt like they called it the wrong way, but based on how they're calling it this year, there's this emphasis on rewarding the offensive man, which I don't necessarily agree with, but you got to know like what the rules are and how it's being called. And then if not to make it even more confusing, but like Cejudo versus Snyder, which just happened. That was a huge one, right? Because they're both OB champions. Cejudo dumped him to his back and got a 4-pointer, but then got held on his back. So then he gave up 2, right? So he got 4, gave up 2. And so that type of thing can happen too. Or, if we're on the mat, I get 2 and then I give up 2. So they call it like a 2-and-2 situation. So that's the toughest part. And you got to be really in tune with the sport of wrestling to know who's doing what. Because if you're a new fan, like, I don't know, it looked like they flew around in the air. I'm not sure who did what, you know?
Well, when he shot and then Kobe lifted him, and I was like, damn, it's like if you shoot and you penetrate the hips and then they go to their butt and they throw you over, he scored. I'm like, it's almost like if you shoot, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? And and I was curious because I'm visioning like if I was to do Real American Freestyle, I don't see anybody.
Let's go. We want you, DJ.
I don't see anybody doing any arm drags, like arm drags to a leg sit. Like I don't see it's mostly
arm drags are good. You can do those. My guy Instagram loves arm drags.
Okay. I'm just sitting here visualizing. I'm a visualizer, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so why aren't they doing that? And then if I were to shoot and then they just throw me over the head, it's like, then why would I shoot? So it's just, that was one of the things.
So shooting in freestyle is significantly more precarious than shooting in folk style.
Gotcha.
There's way more of a downside. So, I think what someone would say to that would be, as a coach, freestyle wrestling makes you significantly more proficient in your finishes. You can't be sloppy. You can't roll around. You got to get the legs and you got to be able to finish cleanly. Is kind of, that's what we teach our athletes. Whereas in folk style, there's not much punishment. You can shoot in, and lots of times there's scrambles and you can roll around. And maybe it ends in a stalemate or something and nobody scores.
Gotcha.
But in freestyle, yeah, if you're not on point and you're shooting in and you're not proficient with your finishes, you can get put on your back in so many different ways that it's probably to your point not worth it.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting there, and that's why I'm like, why isn't nobody? Like I see somebody shoot, and it's like, boop, they throw him. I'm like, he was deep as fuck.
Or, another good one on this one was Frankie got Clay. Clay was almost finishing, and then Frankie boom and threw him through and got 4 points. So it's like I attacked and then I gave up 4 points. That's what it's like. You got to be a pretty proficient leg attacker to want to shoot a lot in freestyle.
So then how would you say the best way it is to shoot? Because if I shoot and you throw me over, it's like, fuck, I was in, I'm just like, maybe I'll watch some more and try to like see what type of style would be the best way. Because I was always a shooter. Like in high school, everybody was like, man, because I would shoot, boom, take him down, 2-on-1, leg, Jake leg, get my tilt, let him back up. And they're like, man, you do freestyle. I was like, no. And I was like, you're so good at shooting. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck freestyle is. I'm just taking him down, letting him up. And so I'm always trying to look at somebody's style to see how they're able to shoot and not get thrown over.
Let me look back at the most recent card and see if I can't remember some other good sequencing. I mean, Minto versus O'Toole, that was the first one. It was, and Keegan's one of my guys from growing up. That had some fun, different sequences where, Keegan would shoot and lift. And for example, the finish takedown, he would just throw him backwards and expose his opponent's back, and he would get points for that, So it does make you have to be a really proficient attacker. I mean, I don't know. You watched, let me look and see if there's another match that would be really good for you to watch.
Okay.
DeVito Hartunian had actually some really good scrambles. Those guys are both really, really high level lightweights. There was definitely some good ones in there.
Gotcha. Okay, last question. I'm gonna let you go. Let you close it out. Weighing in. Since it's wrestling, why not have them weigh in the same day and have them wrestle 5-6 hours from now? So you don't have.
They do weigh in the same day.
Oh, they do.
They do. Yes. They initially we started out as weigh in day before. I'm like actually kind of a proponent of weigh in the day before because they have the press conference and they do the fan zone, which is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you just get it out of the way, you get it done with. But international wrestling is day of weigh-ins. So I think we just thought, hey, that's how they do it internationally. That's how, the majority of our more serious competitors.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's fucking amazing.
But obviously the MMA guys
don't fucking matter. Don't fucking matter.
No, none of them compete, which is fine. None of them compete at the weight classes that they fight at. So Arman took that match against Colby at 182 pounds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He fights 155.
Yeah,
so like.
But I think that's good though because you having somebody walk in at their fight weight, like wrestling weight, right? Like. To let them I'm gonna suck. You're not gonna run into anybody miss. You should not have anybody missing weight. Is what I'm getting at, right? It's like
we do that. We've had a few, unfortunately, but there was 0 people on this card that missed weight, which was that's what we would prefer.
Yeah, well, it's like if you sign a contract with Ham Russell 145, I show up on 143, perfect. I'm not gonna suck weight. We're gonna get it in and call it good. So I actually kind of like that. I think that's how it should, because you're gonna have these people being weight bullies. I think it's good. So I'm happy to hear that. I didn't know that. I thought it was a day before you weighed, Thursday, and then you wrestle on Friday night, where it's like
nope, same weight class.
I love that.
Or sorry, same day weigh-in.
I love that. Okay, well, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on the MightyCast as always. I love what you're doing with Real American Freestyle. I hope I saw you did retire. Maybe one day you might be like, you know what, boys? Old Funky's back. I got my shit together and everything's good.
I hope to be well enough at some point to my goal was in wrestling, my wrestling life prior to getting sick. My goal was to never lose to a high school kid prior to my son graduating high school, which is now another 11 years. These high school kids are freaking good. I mean, there was 3 guys who won NCAA titles as true freshmen this year. And so we've had some, Aiden Sinclair was a junior world team member in high school. Mitchell Messerbrink, same thing. Keegan O'Toole, same thing. So, when these guys are making 20 under world teams, like I got to stay at a pretty high level to be able to compete with and beat them. And that was kind of my goal. So maybe I can, get back to that point where I'm wrestling with our really, really good high school kids.
You will. I believe in you. You've battled a lot, and I think you will get back there. Just takes time and a lot of dedication, which you have, and
Yes, sir.
you have the time. So before I let you go, the floor is yours, brother. Where can they support you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Man, I don't have anything big coming up right now. I got done with my match. I'm just happy to be coaching wrestling and living my life and being healthy and feeling, we'll say, relatively good on a daily basis, because there was many months where I had, almost no days where I was feeling good at all. So I'm really grateful for that. And life's great. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, next time we get on, we'll talk a little more about Bitcoin. But for now, I appreciate you coming on.
Bitcoin, I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our guest, Ben Funky Askren. He had an amazing match at the last event at Real American Freestyle against Belal Muhammad. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram. Check out all his stuff he's doing at Real American Freestyle. I'm your host, Demetrious Johnson. Our guest was Ben Askren. We'll see you guys at the next episode of the MightyCast. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MightyCast, and we are going to recap everything we just went through with our guest, and our guest was Ben Askren. Man, what an amazing journey. Not just his mixed martial arts, but obviously what he battled through getting a double lung transplant. I'm a little bit familiar with that. Not myself, but my sister-in-law. She has cystic fibrosis. So I've kind of seen that whole process of taking the medication, battling the medication. She never got to a point where she's able to run or lift weights or anything like that. But Ben Askren was able to do it. Prior to him getting sick, he was, working out extremely hard, going to get some of the best wrestlers in the room. And it's just crazy that staph, that little cut on his elbow, caused his lungs, the bacteria got inside of him, and then his lungs were eating the inside of it out, or something was eating his lungs, the bacteria was. But he battles through it, he comes back, and he gets a wrestling match with Belal Muhammad. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, he was looking pretty fucking good in the beginning, boys. And then he down blocked that shot, he pushed him out, got 1 point, and he put Belal Muhammad on a shot clock. He was ahead, and then Belal Muhammad, Ben Askren, he was on the show, he said his legs got weak. And I can only imagine when you're taking, the medication he's taking, one that's a muscle inhibitor where he's not allowed to put muscle on, and he's got to get his lungs back to being strong. But for him to have the courage to go out there and compete after he's gone through, I mean, all you can do is a round of applause, standing ovation. And for him to be attached to Real American Freestyle and be able to put me on some game, give me some knowledge of how freestyle works, because I never did freestyle in high school. I wrestled in middle school, 8th, and then all the way through high school, freshman to senior, and I all did folk style. So for me, I like, all right, round 1, you're on your feet, I shoot, you got to sprawl, crossface, we come up, you do a fireman's carry, boom, I take you down, I'm holding you down, I'm trying to get my tilts, I'm trying to get my Jake leg, I'm 2-on-1, period's over, second period, you flip a coin, up or down, I won, I'm choosing defer, it's a strategy, he's going down, okay, I got to hold him, or he might choose neutral, up. I mean, I like that gamemanship. So me coming to watch Real American Freestyle, it's a little bit different for me, where you see them, they're wrestling. If somebody shoots, they penetrate the hips, a guy throws him over the head, the other guy who shot doesn't get any points. I'm like, what the hell? So it's almost kind of like it's deeming you. It's kind of giving you, don't shoot because you're exposing yourself. Almost like jiu-jitsu, if I jump, I pull guard, you have to pass my guard. So there's a little strategy to it that I'm just not familiar with it, and I'm still trying to understand. And I wanted to talk to Ben Askren about that, because he's done freestyle and he coaches some of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think he's the perfect person to ask, and that's why we asked him those questions. And you see what Real American Freestyle is doing? It's giving athletes the opportunity to be able to wrestle when they're waiting for their fights. You got Arman Sarukian. I swear, I'm telling you guys right now, I think he's on the board of Real American Freestyle. I think he has equity in the company. He's wrestling every fucking weekend. They have an event coming up on August 22nd. You have Jordan Burroughs taking on Sean Brady. And then you have the first ever crossover champion, Kobe Covington, coming off a fresh victory over Arman Sarukian as he takes on Belal Muhammad. And they have even more matches on there. I know Bo Nickel's on there as well. But it's giving these guys an opportunity who are MMA athletes when they don't have a fight to come over here, do Real American Freestyle, make some money. And then you having the guys who come fresh out of college and from the Olympics or Nationals, they went NCAA. It gives them a place to come make money. Because one of the reasons why I never went off to college to wrestle is because back in my day, 2005, 2006, there was no money for wrestling in college. Honestly, there was no college program in Washington State. So there was no college there. So for me, for those guys to be able to have the opportunity to go make money after college or during college or whatever it is, I don't know what the stipulation is for Real American Freestyle, I think it's a pretty fucking cool gig. Now, where do we think Real American Freestyle is going to go? What is the ceiling? Is it sustainable? Because I hear some of the guys over there are getting some nice checks. I'm just excited to see that athletes have a place to go and wrestle. So, boys, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the MightyCast, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live, and make sure you guys check out Real American Freestyle. I think it's streaming on Fox Nation, and they have some of the matches on YouTube. I just love seeing Arman. You got Hamza Shemaev. He's under the banner. You got Henry Cejudo, Uriah Faber, Clay Guida, Frankie Ager. You have so many athletes from your favorite sport, mixed martial arts, fighting, wrestling on a Real American Freestyle. I think it's a win-win, and the matches are fun, and I can't wait to watch it. So make sure you guys like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live. As always, I'm your host. Our guest was Ben Askren. The producers, the man behind the scene, Michael Wansover. I think he's getting ready to book his flight to Thailand for the Lady Boys. Nick Pappas, I don't know where he's at. I think he's somewhere in Europe still. And everybody else, they're all having a good time. We'll see you guys in the next episode of the MightyCast. Peace.